Danyelle Musselman is the newest First Lady of Arkansas men's basketball, but she's so much more than that. She's quickly adjusted to life in Northwest Arkansas from Reno, Nevada, and graciously invited us into her home to get to know her and her family a little better.
You've been here for a few weeks now. Do you feel like you are a Fayettevillean? Have you kind of...
I do.
Yeah.
Once we got the furniture into our house and my daughter started school, I was like, okay, it's official now. You know, it really feels like home. Everyone's so welcoming. Our neighbors are just beyond amazing. So I quickly got my daughter enrolled in dance and kind of started to know my way around. And yeah, everything's good. I feel honestly like I've been here for a couple of years. It's crazy.
And you've been able to kind of build a routine now that you feel like maybe things aren't in as many boxes as they were a couple weeks ago.
Well, I was lucky my mom came in, helped me unpack. So we haven't been in the boxes. It's just that we had ordered a bunch of furniture that hadn't arrived yet. Okay. So we were kind of sleeping in the guest room over there for a while. But, you know, finally we're starting to get everything together. Mm-hmm. I think the entire team is going to be in town for Thanksgiving, and so we're going to host a huge Thanksgiving here. So that's kind of my goal, to have everything done by Thanksgiving. So
what is a typical day for you when you wake up? What does your days look like?
Well, I'll start with today. I actually got off easy because my daughter had a donuts with dad situation at the school, so Eric had to drive her to school. But usually I get up, take her to school. I try to come back and walk the dog before it gets too hot, and then I really like to work out. It's a great stress reliever and just something I kind of need to do for me. So I try to get that out of the way, do a little computer work, and then see what else needs to be done. Today we had a recruit in town, and I like to help out with the recruiting as far as meeting parents and all that kind of stuff. So I went up, spent a little bit of time on campus with our recruit that was in town, and went straight from there back to picking up my daughter from school. So it's crazy. I mean, every day is just packed with something. You know, sometimes it's entertaining somebody, sometimes it's running up to the school, sometimes, I mean, it can be totally different, but that's what it was like today.
I want to talk now about being a mom, because I think that's the biggest thing that stands out with you is your relationship with Mariah and how that shines over social media. Yeah. And as a mom of a 2-year-old, any advice? I'd love some. But how special is that relationship with Mariah and being able to spend the time you do with her?
It's honestly, it's amazing. And everyone thinks their kids are special. She is really special in that, this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like God knew what type of lifestyle we would have, and He gave us the most adaptable, wonderful child that was fit for that lifestyle. And she's just amazing in the fact that I can drop her off at a camp where she doesn't know anyone, and I'm the one who's nervous, and I'm like, are you going to be okay? There's like 100 kids, you don't know one. And she's like, Mom, please leave. She just jumps right in, and she's social, friendly, and she's happy, and that's all you really can want for your kids, to be completely honest. And she really has a special gift. I mean, I know that I was a sports anchor. Eric is actually a better public speaker than me. He's really amazing. And so she really got that gift from both of us. And I mean, this is a kid that since she could talk, basically, would not have any fear about getting up in front of 400 or 500 people and speaking. And so it was really cool. She's someone that I look at and I'm like, I can't wait to see what you become and what you do with this, because it really is, you know, a special gift that she has.
And she's like your best friend.
Well, some days.
Yeah, it depends.
It's so fun. Yeah, it depends on which day.
Yeah.
It's so funny because just the other day, you know, she's a girl. She's a 9-year-old girl. Some days she wakes up on the left side. Some days it's the right, right? And my husband was here. He usually leaves early in the morning, and so he doesn't get to see that part of our morning. And he's like, why is she in such a bad mood? I'm like, it's a 50-50 shot. Like, sometimes she's in the best mood in the world, and sometimes you just can't wait to drop her off to school.
What has it been like having her around, and then having your stepsons too? Because you're moms to them as well, and just again, based off photos, they seem like such great big brothers.
They are amazing big brothers, and it's funny because they're so much older than her that she never had that, you know, sibling where they fight. They've always just been like her best friends, and you know, they always just love her, and just she's kind of like a little princess. I mean, she's got these 2 older brothers. She's the only granddaughter on my husband's side, the only grandchild at all on my side. So she's just got just a lot of attention on her. But they're amazing big brothers. She's a great skateboarder, which is
I was gonna say she's adventurous. We saw the video.
Very adventurous, and it's funny. I've never gotten on a skateboard in my life, and my neighbor says, "How can Mariah skateboard?" I'm like, "Her brothers." I'm like, whenever her brother would take her on this skateboard since she was like 3 or 4 years old, and you know, that's just kind of the relationship that they have. And my older stepson likes motorcycles, and someone at her school has been coming in on a motorcycle, so she was texting him like, "Can you pick me up on your motorcycle?"
That's great.
So that's what she has going for her.
How much does she understand? You know, she's a typical fourth grader, 9-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, but Dad's got a big important job here, and people know who the Musselman family is.
Yeah.
Does that faze her? Does she really kind of just go with the flow?
She goes with the flow. On one hand, she does kind of like it. You know, she likes.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah,
What
she
9-year-old
likes
wouldn't?
getting any kind of little extra attention, and you know, she's really proud of her dad, and she knows he works really hard. But then on the other hand, she's like, "Mom, you're embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as Dad." On the other hand, he's just a dad that's embarrassing and awful, and just like every other dad. So she manages to keep it real. We'll just say that.
Nice. Is there a lot of things that you guys want to do here in Fayetteville now that you've kind of settled in? And
Oh my
outdoor
gosh.
stuff? Like what's on the list? of
There's
things to do?
well, I have not been to Crystal Bridges. That's number one on my personal list. We were never outdoor people until we moved to Reno, Nevada, and they love hiking and all that kind of stuff there. So we sort of have come around a little bit to it. We love biking, and so we definitely want to get out to Lake Fayetteville and do some of that. Is it the Razorback Greenway? Is that what it's called? That is on our list.
It connects Fayetteville all the way to Bentonville.
That's what
if
I've
you're
heard.
Adventurous.
Yeah, we
Never done it,
love.
but if you
We
want
love
to.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Once the weather cools down a little bit, literally that's where you can find us on the weekends, is probably biking somewhere, and it's something we can do as a family, and that's really fun. I'm excited for basketball season. You know, I just can't wait to see what Bud Walton is like when it's full and packed and loud, and that's just exciting. The fans here are just amazing, and we want to make them happy, you know.
Mrs. Musselman is more than a wife in the stands. Call her another assistant coach, if you will. She's completely involved in her husband's program, and we'll share more on her role in the upcoming basketball season next week in part 2. But before we left, we had to ask her one more question.
Now, I would be remiss if me and Tara were here to not ask you about being a sports reporter and a sports anchor in your career, and you know, the highlights there, and what it was like to be on that national stage.
You know, it almost feels like another lifetime ago. It's funny because the further and further I get away from it, now I'm like, okay, now it's been 5 years, and I'm like, eventually it's going to be 15 years, and then people are going to say, what did you used to do? But it was something that I always wanted to do since I was in college. I always wanted to be a national sports anchor, sports talent, and just to be able to live and achieve your dream in itself, it really is it's a blessing, and it's something that I will always really appreciate. And it was fun, and it was enjoyable, and you know, being on the field at the end of a Super Bowl, being at a national championship game. I went to Florida State and I met Bobby Bowden at one game. Just these things are things that I'll never forget. Even 20 years from now, I can always remember that. The thing I will say, you know, the hours are tough and the moving around can be tough. And so I think that at this point in my life, it's kind of right for me to have stepped away from it, just because it would be really difficult to kind of work it into the circus that we already have going on. But I appreciate being able to have done that. And I even, up until Mariah was like 3 and 4, I still was working and I still was doing all that. So I hung on as long as I could, And then Eric got his first head coaching job, and I was like, okay, there's some other things that I need to do that are taking up a little bit more time than necessarily being on TV. But I feel blessed and happy that I was able to do that.
Is there a memory or a moment that probably sticks out the most in everything that you've done?
There's a couple. There's one I literally was on the field at the very end of a Super Bowl. That was one. And then there was another Super Bowl I actually was a sideline reporter. This is kind of funny. One of my coworkers at ESPN was calling the Super Bowl in Miami for ITV. I think it was ITV, which was a British station, and they were looking for a sideline reporter. So I worked for this British television network as their sideline reporter. So nobody ever saw, no one ever saw me that I knew or anything like that, but still I had the chance. I can say I was a sideline reporter at a Super Bowl. And it was kind of cool because Prince was the halftime performer during that game too. But that was a memory that I'll never forget. And then later in my career, I worked for a virtual reality network, NextVR, and I had done football for them. And then one season they said, what do you think about doing some NBA? And I had never covered the NBA in any capacity as a sideline reporter or anything like that. So just being able to experience that was pretty cool. And it was, you know, what do they say? I guess you can teach an old dog new tricks. So, you know, being able to experience that was really cool too. So that's just another memory and something that I'll always kind of think about.
We really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us.
Thank
I know
you.
everyone wants to talk and get to know you, so we really appreciate that.
No, this is great. I'm so glad to have you guys to my home. I'm glad I have a little bit of furniture for you guys to sit on. No, it's been so great. Thank you.